Om Purnamada Om Sadashiva Samarabham Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Mais uma vez, peço desculpas, eu estava me preparando para o início do meu seminário que eu vou dar aqui. Eu tenho que me mudar amanhã e eu acabei esquecendo o horário. Eu sabia que tinha aula hoje, mas I spaced out. Olha, and I'm so spaced out that I'm talking Portuguese language here. So I
hope that's what it was.
Okay. So I was just apologizing. Okay.
Funny.
Okay, so as far as yesterday, I have not seen any question written by email. Does anybody have written or said anything? So how shall we go about with our class today?
I have one, Arlindo.
Please, Claudio.
I want to ask you, why do we say that Vedanta comes directly from Ishvara? Because it's a little bit confusing that maybe one can think that because the rishis write Vedanta, the rishi was something like canalizing, no?
Channeling?
This information, and so they can interpret with their mind, so it doesn't come directly from Ishvara. So why do we say, why we can be so sure that all this information are all coming directly from Ishvara? Of course, I believe in that because I see for me this knowledge is very valid, but you know, when you just to understand why we say that it comes directly from Ishvara.
Because everything in the universe, everything in existence comes from something else. Nothing comes from nothing. You understand that? There is no nothingness. There is no something like nothing out of which things appear. So everything that exists from something else, okay? So therefore, this universe has a creator, and this creator is Maya Ishvara, okay? Maya Ishvara, they are the creator, and we know that by inference, by observing the effects, we can infer the creation or the cause of this creation. And we understand as well that everything that exists in the creation has a user's manual, right? So nowadays we cannot buy anything without a user's manual. It can be very simple. Any little thing, it comes with a little book telling you how to use it. So the Vedas, these scriptures, they are like a user's manual. They are just logic presented to the human jivas for the sake of people acting, transacting, navigating, emitting, understanding the purpose of this projection of this universe. You know, the projector, this apparent reality, this secondary order of reality in which the jivas come. They comes for the jiva. The jiva is co-creator together with Ishvara. We have been talking a little bit about that, you know. So Ishvara cannot create and maintain this without the jivas. When we say that there is Ishvara, jiva, and the creation, the world, Jagat, you know, Ishvara needs jivas. Jiva needs Ishvara. So it's a co-creation, you understand? We need to keep providing Ishvara with the vasanas No? So everything that is created for a certain purpose, and the purpose is for the consciousness, awareness, no? By becoming the experienced knowing entity can realize in this order of reality, in this duality, in this plurality, in Mithya, the true nature of Mithya is Satya. Okay, that's the whole purpose. Now, why we say that Vedanta and the entire Vedic culture comes directly from consciousness. It comes from consciousness via Ishvara. First, because the rishis, all of them, none of them have ever signed and said, this is my creation. These teachings, they came from me. None of them, ever came and said that. So this is a tradition that goes back many thousands of years. And there is never anyone who said, these teachings come from me. You understand? So these teachings come from those, come from those very introspecting individuals, very contemplative individuals, that after having looked around and looked in this creation in wonder, trying to survive and secure and get some joy here and there, living in the cave, living in the trees and being eaten up. And so all this development of this intellectual of the jiva brought the jiva to a point of contemplation, of introspection, that the jiva itself began asking the most fundamental question, which is, what is the nature of reality here? What's going on? How the hell I happen to be here? And what happened after that? You see, what was the attempt of these jivas when they began asking these fundamental questions? So they want knowledge, right? So the scientist who wants to understand a scientific phenomenon, what he wants knowledge. So every time that we contemplate on something, it can be the very simple things that we have to learn as we go, in our human experience with the Dhamma field, we go learning means and ways of doing that from the very early days, very basic things, and then we learn more. So we are here to get knowledge. Some of these individuals, they want to get knowledge about the true nature of reality, the true nature of my mind, my existence. What is it? What am I? What is the nature of everything? So the same way we want to know about astrology, astronomy, or any other science field of science, scientific knowledge, some of these individuals want to have knowledge about the very nature of the mind, the very nature of their conscious mind. You see where I'm going with this, Claudio? Now, every time the human jiva wants to get knowledge, and then he starts really digging, he always comes up with some knowledge. I'm talking about scientific knowledge. And this knowledge that the scientists get, it's not something new. It's a knowledge that is built into the creation. You understand? Oh no, because somebody invented the TV long ago in the 50s or 40s or whatever, So no, they did not invent it. The potential for a TV set was already there from the beginning of times. It's knowledge. You remember when we say that Ishvara is made of knowledge. Its body is a body of knowledge. You understand? The fabric of the body of Ishvara is just knowledge. So every time we tap into this knowledge and we say we have uncovered some knowledge here, you understand? We have uncovered some knowledge. We have discovered the computer. No, no, we did not discover. This knowledge was already built into the system, into the mind of Ishvara. Understand? It's the intelligence of Ishvara. And then once we tap into this field of knowledge, that field of knowledge, we say, oh, we have uncovered some knowledge. We say discovered or uncovered means to say, I remove the tamas, I remove the concealing or the veiling. You understand? How? And now I can see some laws operating here. Therefore, through these laws, I can come up with something. I'm going to create a TV set or a computer program. You understand? But it's all knowledge. Ishvara is all knowledge. So now, some of these rishis, they want knowledge of the very nature of reality. So this universe, as we know, it's an apparent reality. Okay, it exists. It's not really real because it enjoys a borrowed reality, a borrowed existence. It does not exist all the time, and it never remains the same from one moment to another because it's cyclical. It's always changing, you know, from one thing into another. Okay, so it is what it is. So once we know this, all of this is knowledge. But once some people, some individuals no longer want to understand what's going on out here, but they want to understand the very nature of this universe, the fundamental essence of one's mind. So where he or she is going to get that knowledge from? You understand? That knowledge is built into the creation. The creation has the knowledge of Mithya and it has the seeds of knowledge of Satya within itself. That's what allows certain individuals to begin asking those most fundamental questions. You understand? What is this consciousness? What is this mind? What is life? What is death? You understand? So the initial individuals, like in the field of science, in the beginning, when they began asking these fundamental questions, the same way Einstein began asking certain physical questions, they always come up with an answer because the answer is built into the system. You understand? So this universe has all the knowledge about matter and energy, which is Mithya, but it has also the knowledge about Satya, the fundamental nature of the universe. It's just a question of some individuals tap into that knowledge, which is part of the body of Ishvara, the Lord. You understand? So when these rishis, they begin contemplating on these questions, the most fundamental questions, and these questions, they are such that they cannot really come basically only by inference or sense recognition, sense knowledge. So we know that these answers, they're not possible through the mind and the five senses. You cannot know the nature of the self, the nature of the I, the nature of the universe through sense perception, you know. The perceptive organs and the mind cannot really understand the nature because the nature is the fundamental essence of the mind. So once we begin, some of these rishis begin asking those questions, they had no means to get to those answers because the answer is not available through perception and inference. You understand? Where are these questions, these answers coming from? You understand? It comes and the guy knows, like, wow, you know, it did not come from me, it came to me. You know? It is the knowledge which is the very fabric of this universe and contains the knowledge of matter, energy, and contains the knowledge of the essential nature of matter and energy as Satya, as consciousness, as existence. This knowledge, like all other knowledge, nobody can come up with knowledge all knowledge belongs to Ishvara. I'm making this parallel so that we understand that all knowledge comes from Ishvara. You understand? Including artificial intelligence and computer programs, everything is the knowledge of Ishvara. You understand? So the spiritual knowledge is the body of knowledge that was being accumulated from the timing that certain individuals begin asking these fundamental questions, and the answers were given to them, the same way that the answers to Einstein and any other scientist come to them. You know, it goes more, oh, Eureka, you know, it comes to me. Now it's clear. Now I understood. I understood the laws operating. I understood this phenomenon, this and that. Now I got a clue, you know. So our mind is limited. We have access. We tap into some of this scientific knowledge here and there, but the self-knowledge, being of altogether different nature, is a knowledge of the knower. You understand? And it's much simpler, although it's extremely subtle. And it's a knowledge that's not subject to mistake, error, correction, revision, because, you know, once you understood, oh, yes, I am consciousness, I am the illuminator, and so on. So there is no difference, there is no distance between you and yourself. Therefore, it's direct, immediate. You understand? And once it's known, it's known. It's the knowledge that somehow satisfies the search for all other knowledge. You understand? And this knowledge was again and again being revealed. This word, revealing knowledge. Revealing knowledge, this word revealing is a beautiful word, because it means to say it's a knowledge of something that is all the time available, but is somehow is being overlooked. We miss on that, you know. Self-knowledge about that is a revealing knowledge, because it's something that is so obvious, so self-evident, that needs to be revealed. I mean, we know the example of the law of gravity. Gravity is always there operating, but only recently we became aware of this force. You understand? So these are revealing knowledge, because all knowledge is revealed knowledge. It's something, it's some laws, it's some phenomenon, some force that already there, but we need to tap into them to understand them. So all knowledge belongs to Ishvara. So when we say that somebody came up with a new philosophy, with a new religion, and wrote a new philosophical, you know, structure or line of thoughts and so on, that's something else. You understand? That is somebody who read and went through a lot of knowledge, physical, astrological, astronomic, or whatever, you know, or even religious and spiritual knowledge, and then they come up with my system. I have a my system. I have a spiritual system. I have a new religion here. You understand? So this is something that is some good knowledge from different source. There is always some mix of good knowledge with bad knowledge. Understand? Knowledge and ignorance. And then somebody contemplates on everything that one reads and hears, and my personal experience. And then I come up with my own system, my own teaching. And then we say, this is an independent personal teaching. Vedanta is an impersonal universal teaching, which does not belong to anybody. Belongs to life, belongs to Ishvara, as we say, belongs to consciousness that reveals this knowledge. Just imagine the position of Maya and Ishvara, seeing all these jivas, you know, completely trapped in samsara, having no way out, you know. And then the happiness of Ishvara when he just realized that finally, some jivas are asking this very, very important fundamental question. They say, oh, great, that's about time, you know. So now let me just reveal this knowledge satya to them, Let me reveal the knowledge of karma and dharma to them so that they understand how to behave, so that they can grow, purify, and become religious and spiritual people and so on, It's just revealing the knowledge, because every time we ask questions, we always come up with some knowledge. Understand? I don't know if that satisfies you, Claudio.
Yes, it satisfies. Yeah, it's more or less the same process of contemplation that we do also, because when we study the scriptures, you study it, you understand it, but then there is a moment when you contemplate that you completely understand it and you see it directly.
Yeah.
It's more or less the same process that the rishis do.
Yeah. So those moments of clarity, in respect to some of the logics presented by the scriptures, is a good example. There are some moments that you just click and say, wow, yes, it's clear, it's clear. So we are tapping into the spiritual knowledge, which the knowledge in respect to Mithya knowledge, karma, dharma, and then the knowledge on moksha, which is the Jnana Yoga of Vedanta, the knowledge about the nature, the non-dual nature of reality. Yeah.
To expand on it a little bit, I'm thinking if I was to ask Islam about where the Quran
David, let me interrupt you for 1 second, please. Give me 30 seconds.
And it was going to be a really good question too. So.
Please, Dave.
I guess more of a comment, but I'm just thinking that things like the Quran and the Bible, and even A Course in Miracles, when I ask about those, then they talk about them being, channeled, or not coming from the individual, but coming, through the individual from God, if you will. And so is the distinguishing factor between, all these different, religious approaches, is it, like Vedanta, you're saying is not impersonal? They're all personal, and Vedanta is impersonal. Is that the distinguishing factor, or
that's one of the distinctions. Another distinction that you see is that all these religious structures, they have some good elements of Dharma. They try to say, hey, we need to behave here, otherwise it's total chaos. So you cannot do this and this and this and this and this, and you should do this and this and this and this. But they don't offer much of a logic as we do through karma and dharma yoga. You understand? And not only that, they promise a sort of liberation, a sort of freedom, but they offer this liberation, freedom, only in heaven. You understand? All these religions say, so here you cannot be free. Here you have to suffer, you have to pay for your sins, and you have to follow these rules, you have to sacrifice, and so on. And liberation is possible only after life. So Vedanta, it's a total science, complete, extensive. It offers liberation in Mithya and in spite of Mithya, you understand? So it explains that liberation, in fact, can only be found in here, because what we are is already free. But unfortunately, here in this realm of reality called Mithya, we feel bound to everything. We feel bound to the body and so on, and we suffer You see? So Vedanta, it distinguishes itself from all these structures, religious structures, in many different ways. So all these religious structures, they are so infantile, not to say something else, you know, in respect to Vedanta. They offer you heaven and then a hell if you don't behave. So yeah, there are hells. You know, the hell is nothing in that but your sanchita karma. If you don't behave, you're gonna have a lot of papa karma sitting on your account, and then you're gonna go to one of these lockers, and you're gonna be exhausting. Some of this, you're gonna suffer subjectively, the same way we suffer horrible nightmares during our sleep dream state. You understand? So there are these hells, but it's not the way they present in this more rudimentary kind of religious structures, you know. So it's much different, and and there is always one element. There is one person who says, "Oh, I am the Son of God, and I am the representative of God, and you have to follow me, the Creator, the originator of these religious, you know." So the Muslim. The Muslims and the Christians, they're the two most symbolic, you know, of those religions, and they have these two figures. So we have, for example, the Buddhists. It's Buddhism is not really a religion. Why? Because it has rejected God. The Buddha himself has rejected God. He has rejected the Vedas. So most of these religions, to my take, they are bits and pieces of the Vedas, you know, interpreted by some certain individuals and put together according to their interpretations and experience to present a new religious structure. You understand? So we have these things which I tend to say that all religions, they are rooted in the Vedic culture. They just take peace, and then they sum it, they they connect that with someone's story, somebody who has rejected the Vedas, some that have rejected even God himself. You understand? And then becomes popular like the Buddhism, and then it's. So those we call, in Vedanta, we call independent religious, you know, independent schools. So which is different from the universal spiritual religious knowledge presented by the Vedas that ends with Vedanta, the end of the Vedas, which are known as the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita as well. You understand? So we in Vedanta, we don't deal with the Vedas, but we deal with Karma Dharma Yoga of Bhagavad Gita. We deal with Brahma Sutras, with the original Upanishads, those very few Upanishads that did not get lost over the millennia. And there is a lot of Brahma Sutras available, but we never have time to get there because they are very voluminous, they're huge. So, and now we have all these modern texts from Vidyaranya Swami, from Shankaracharya, wrote so many texts, you know. And I will be teaching here in Brazil one of his texts, the Atma Bodha as well, for the first time. So there is so much materials that somehow they were compiled lately by some of our Mahatmas, Vidyaranya Swami and the Shankaracharya being the two examples. But they both say the same thing. None of this comes from me. I'm just a link in the tradition. The tradition is there forever. It came. Man, a few times I hear Swami Paramarthananda say that the Vedas, they were there available since the beginning of the creation. The creation comes, and then we have this knowledge without which it's impossible to get out of samsara. It's impossible to be free. It's impossible to come to the climax of this creation, which is the jiva attaining moksha, attaining self-knowledge, understand the nature of everything, you understand? So it has been there forever because it's built into Mitya, into the system, into the knowledge of Mitya, you know?
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Dave.
It's really beautiful, the whole structure of the whole thing that we investigate, but the wholeness of it is just really gorgeous.
The wholeness, what do you mean by that, Lynn?
How there's a lot of meaning there, but how it all comes together as everything. I mean, everything is, as you say, it's the knowledge that stops the search for knowledge. It's just all there at once and not there and manifest at all, but knowledge per se.
Yeah. Yeah, so you are referring to self-knowledge as a unique kind of knowledge. That's
When investigated by the jiva, it's certainly unique.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it is. There is no knowledge that can solve this existential problem of the human jiva. The only knowledge that can solve this problem is self-knowledge,
right.
which is the knowledge about satya. You understand? So of the fundamental nature of the jiva and everything. So it's unique because the jiva, the one who is asking this question, he is this knowledge. He is this liberation. He is this free conscious existence. You understand? So it's one of those things, like somebody with a pair of sunglasses, hanging up on the head and say, so I'm having a hard time. Entire life I'm looking for my glasses, and it has been just here, and so it's that kind of knowledge, and knowledge of something that you are that. It's you, it's your nature. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, thank you. There's nothing like Vedanta, I tell you. I mean, the more I get into it, the more I'm, wow, totally impressed. And then when I go and I look into some other structure or philosophies and so on, and it's easy to recognize the inconsistencies, the flaws, and the contradictions, and or superficialities and blind spots. And I'm not an expert on these fields of spiritual philosophies, but I hear from Paramarthananda, who seems to have a lot of understanding of other schools of thoughts as well, and then it makes me appreciate Vedanta more and more, for its clarity and simplicity and extensiveness. And the key is Vedanta brings Maya into the equation, that's makes it so different.
I just had a comment, Arlindo. What I'm hearing Lynn say, I guess, is that it's like a perfect working machine, kind of the universe, and Jagat, Jiva, Shwara. And it's hard, but that everything's the balance, you know, and how everything's perfect. And it's hard to always see the perfection in the negatives, right? The bad things, you know, like we're having this really horrific fire here, like 10 miles
You
from
have
us.
a fire now?
Yes, and it's burning. One of the most beautiful canyons in the state, that I-70, our main highway, goes through, and it's all closed, but it's just all devastation. It's you know, so that's where it's hard to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's renewal, but it's, you know, as a jiva, it's like, oh my God, that was one of the most beautiful places I ever go.
I have no doubt that there will be a lot of trouble coming our way. We have gone too far out our spiritual lives, you know. I mean, the Jiva society, our civilization became too materialistic. Everybody's by now is rejecting God. I mean, we cannot talk in terms of Vedas anymore, but even basic values like family and schooling and basic values, you know, of love, respect, they are just being ignored. And I have no doubt that we're going to have a lot of trouble. We have 5 basic elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. The only element that cannot really hurt us is space, because it's the substratum of everything. But with the other 4 elements, they are going to rebel against us because we have not been behaving properly, you know. There will be a lot of trouble more and more with fire, with water, with hurricanes, with air, fire, water, and earthquakes. We're gonna go through a lot of challenges because we have misbehaved for so long by now, you know. The society, our civilization became very Adamic. And I have no doubt that we are facing difficult times, you know. Every year we have more fires, we have more floods. And now they are putting all these satellites, millions of satellites all over there. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with all of that. But we are going to be frying the planet with all this frequency of energy, you know. 5G or 6G is already on the works and so on. And we're going to go through some difficulties. These 4 elements of fire, air, with a lot of cyclones and things like that, and floodings, you know, and earthquakes. So it can be expected. When we look back, we see that somehow it is accelerating all these natural disasters. They have been accelerated. And this is all due to our way of life. This Vedic culture has been a decline since a long time. I hear Paramarthananda saying things very often, you know, talking about this, you know, how down, how low we have come as a civilization. And, so we're going to need to have a good shake-up and see what happens. You understand, Karen? So we need to understand that the karma, we have a lot of sanchita karma hanging there, and karma can be individual. Karma can be the karma of your town, can be the common of the state of Colorado, you understand? And then the nation of United States of America, and then the planetary karma. So we have a lot of planetary Sanchita karma that is going to be manifesting as the universal planetary Prarabdha karma. That's going to be a lot of papa, you know, a lot of adversities, papa karmas that we're going to need to go through. We're going to need to exhaust these papa karmas as the result of our Adamic actions as a planet, you know, as an individual, as a town, as a city, as a state, as a country, and as a planet. There's no way around it. We have not been behaving very well lately. You know, I mean, I'm impressed to look at what they show in the TVs nowadays, the movies that they produce nowadays. Try to find a movie on love and romance. You don't find it anymore. Everything is about destruction and violence and, you know, competition and how to bend the system, how to trick, how to deceive, how to get rich. And this materialism took over the mind of people. People are lost. They lost their spiritual way into materialism that, you know, they went way over. Nobody has this kind of conversations we have here, because Dharma is something that was already rejected. Religious, all these other religions as well, that are being destroyed and rejected. Even Christianity is being rejected. And so yeah, because those religions, although they are very kind of primitive religions, but they at least they keeps people, you know, associate with this higher power called God. At least we have a relation. Oh, there is God, and okay, there is heaven after life only, not here, but there is God, and I have to be a God-fear person. I have to pay respect and be careful because God is the lawgiver and he's going to punish. So even that now, I mean, if you talk to people in Europe, nobody believes in God anymore. These modern cultures like Germany, Sweden, and so on, there is no such a thing as God anymore. If you say that there is God and you believe in God, people look at you as if, you know, the guy is a century behind time. You know, now that we're in the time of technologies and materialism and artificial intelligence, there is no such a thing. Everybody, you know, is rejecting God. So what is this all going to take us to, you know? So, how to live in harmony with our environment. Look at what we have done to the ocean, to the forest, to, you know, to all the plastic, all the pollution, the water we drink, with a few exceptions here and there, is all full of chemicals. And the air here, one of the reasons I want to get out of northern Italy is because the air is extremely toxic. My mother-in-law is dying due to a cancer in the lungs, which is a most common disease in northern Italy. The air is terrible, you know. So bad air, bad water, junk food, you know, and so on. So we lost the harmony with nature. We lost a way of living in harmony with other creatures and other human beings and so on. We only think of war and power and money and control. So I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't want to make anybody depressed, but it's about time we try to put an end to this game, you know, and let's begin again. You know, I mean, it's too crazy.
So seeing the beauty and all that, is there a shortcut to seeing the beauty and all that?
Well, it is. There is a beauty. You see, this realm is the realm of duality. The good and the bad, they are always together, you know. the evil and the good, they're always together, because everything here is about the pairs of opposites. So Jesus duality, the pair of opposites are all the time there operating. And the fundamental pair of opposites is Dharma and Adharma. Dharma are these laws that keeps this universe in harmony. And the Dharma is nothing but an attitude of violating this natural order, this intelligent order. You understand? So we are living a war between Dharma and Adharma. And Dharma and Adharma has always been there. Ramji is a very optimistic and positive guy. He says, don't worry, Dharma and Adharma is always in there, and it's always going to find balance. The point is that Dharma and Adharma has to find its balance again and again. When we look back to the history, as we know, as it was told to us, that there are a lot of lies in all this history that we learn in the school. You understand? Well, we see through the narratives, and we see that there is a lot of cruelty, power, domination, empires, and slavery, and suppression, oppression of people, and So it's a common thing here. It seems that this realm, it's in the past thousands of years have been experiencing a predominance of adharma. The Vedic scripture talk about the periods, the Vedic period, when it came thousands of years back. That Vedic, it was a period of knowledge, of justice, of peace, of equanimity, in the sense that people were seeing and living life, with equanimity among other creatures, other beings, and other humans as well. So that was the yuga that brought about this Vedic culture that was really powerful. The kings, they were very just and fair. People were living in prosperity and peace and love and respect and so on. But when we look at our recent history, we see only war, with so only power, domination. So definitely there is a predominance of Dharma. Understand? And so how this is going to come to balance again, And we see that this Vedic culture has been declined, and I'm saying that because I hear Paramarthananda saying that again and again. This Vedic culture has been declined, being destroyed. If we lose it, sometimes I say, if we lose it, it's the end of our civilization. If we lose our way spiritually completely by losing completely the scriptures, we're going to go wild. We're going to go crazy. Everybody's for, I go for myself. I have my likes and dislikes, and I want what I want, and I'm going to make war with my neighbor, with anybody, because I want to fulfill my desires, There is no sense of Dharma, this order, of bringing the interest of the total first, So there is no sense of this anymore. So this balance has to come. And sometimes Ishvara may need to bring and throw a lot of water, wash all away these jivas, and then begin with whatsoever is left. And then have the rishis again receiving this revealed knowledge, and then who knows, maybe we come again into a beautiful period of time where there is peace and knowledge and love more predominantly. But anyhow, we all have gray hairs here, with a few exceptions. We have lived a good life so far, and most probably we're gonna be safe to the very end of our life. Instead, we are fortunate not to live in one of those countries that are already lacking water and food and things like that. There are many places where starvation is common, But it seems to me that Ishvara, through its four elements, air, water, fire, water, and earth is going to have to shake the entire civilization or life in this country to bring us back to our sense, whosoever. I mean, there is so much nomenclature about the new age, the new era when people are going to live in peace, the Aquarium, and so on. And the good guys are going to survive and begin a life of love and respect and peace and knowledge and so on. So, but it is beautiful. It's all Ishvara. Ishvara is the facilitator. All the karmas are there, and he's going to be present to us what? The results of our actions. Yeah. The results of our actions as a humanity in this planet is what's being presented to us. We cannot keep doing what we have been doing for the past 100 years or so and expect a different result. We cannot be sitting war and expect peace, right? It makes no sense. We're going to get more and war and devastation and so on. So now that everybody's depressed, what are we going to do?
Well, I was just taking some solace in the fact that even in the midst of Kali Yuga, this light of Vedanta still shines.
Yeah.
This, that's good news.
There is nothing better. There's nothing better to do in these days. And there is a nice conversation that Paramatmananda brings from time to time is that, I don't know the background of this, but there are a lot of people who say that in Kali Yuga, as at extreme levels of Kali Yuga we are living around right now, Yana Yoga does not work. Some people say that people should go for Karma Yoga, Dharma Yoga, because for Yana Yoga, the mind needs to be calm, peaceful and, balanced. And in Kali Yoga, there is so much adversity that minds, they go a little bit crazy, I mean, if things get much worse than this, just imagine to have the mind to do our Satyamithya discrimination, when the environment gets really like that, So, but Swami Paramatmananda says that no, in Kali Yuga, you can do very well your Yana Yoga as well. In fact, only Yana Yoga is going to free you. So you must work your Yana Yoga as well, because that's the only way into freedom. And we have the privilege in this lifetime to be associated with Vedanta, the Upanishads and so on. And to see the beauty is that we are in contact with this liberating knowledge. And then you take the Prarabdha karma as it comes, knowing that, okay, this is what it is, it is the planetary Prarabdha karma manifesting.
Is there, you've talked about Paramatmananda a couple of times now today. Is there a starting point? I mean, is it like, to listen, or do you just, just start where you start and listen to his most current lectures, or any suggestions on expanding and listening to Paramatmananda like you do?
Well, if you have a lot of time, I would suggest you to listen to him or listen to Ramji. Ramji is a great Vedanta teacher, or listen to me. Depending on how much time you have. You understand? So the only thing with Paramatmananda is that the material is all audio, mostly. 99% of his material is audio. And there is a secret with it. It took me quite some time to go through that resistance of listening to a lot of Sanskrit, because he teaches Sanskrit as well as he teach he teaches Vedanta. So you have a little bit of that difficulty at the beginning, and then they are arduous, and he has his own style. He goes slowly, verse by verse, and a lot of the context is the context within the Vedic culture, so which a lot of the time it does not make much sense to us. You understand? And then you need to understand. You need to discount. This is okay in that context, in the context of the Hindu society and so on. You understand? So you need to discriminate a little bit to understand the context of the culture there, and then go through the Sanskrit words. It's quite some work. So I got through that most difficult part, which is digesting a lot of Sanskrit words without knowing what it means. And then later on, by repetition and connecting the dots, and then I start understanding the meaning of this. I don't memorize them as much, but I understand. So I consider Swami Paramarthananda the most brilliant Vedanta teacher of our time. Still embodied it, you know. And Ramji said that. Ramji said that the first seminar I did with Ramji was about 6 years ago. It was when he did, or 5 years ago. It was in Trout Lake in Oregon, when he did for the first time the Panchadasi. And he began the seminar saying that I'm going to confess something to you guys. I went back to school, and I have been studying with Swami Paramarthananda. And he said, although he's my guru brother, and although he's much younger than me, so I went back to study with him. Because as you know, Ramji studied with Swami Shimayananda, and Swami Paramarthananda was very, very young, and he was already there. And then Dayananda left, and then Swami Paramarthananda left with Swami Dayananda, and Ramji stayed some time studying under Swami Dayananda, having again Swami Paramarthananda as his guru brother. You understand? So he said, although he's much younger and he was my guru brother, he's very brilliant. And then he said like that with his finger like that, he's brilliant. He's more brilliant than me. That's why I went to study with him. So I never listened to Swami Paramarthananda. I began 2 years ago or so. And I had to agree that he is brilliant. He's even more brilliant than Ramji as a teacher. But it has its downside, which is the Sanskrit and the culture, the context of his teachings is very much into the Hindu culture and the Vedic culture, but you learn to appreciate that culture as well, and the examples he does and so on.
I actually saw a snake yesterday on the trail, on the path outside of my place. So
Yeah.
I looked down and I said, is it a snake or is it a rope? And I'm like, no, that was a snake.
You see, that is Vedanta working for you. So if you want to listen to him, remind me if you really want to get into that. I send you some websites where some materials are there, and then you begin with the Gita.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I do. And what you reminded me of is I studied for a year with the Chinmayananda mission in LA, and I spent a whole year on an online course, and it was exactly what you said. I mean, it was a lot of talk about Sanskrit and explanations using Sanskrit words, and what I really came to was it was really an exploration of culture, and and their focus was a lot on the cultural aspects of
Yeah.
things, bringing that out. And so when I went to visit them, I had a great experience, and it was like so loving, and they were so welcoming. But it really was, it was clearly one of their purposes was the continuation of the Hindu and the Vedic culture.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard Ramji saying that not long ago, that the downside or the only criticism he has about Dayananda's schools and so on is and Shimaya's missions is that they are more interested in perpetuating the culture than to really teach Vedanta, you know, or propagating, perpetuating the culture. You know?
Maybe I got there because of Ramji, but you know, I ended up at the same spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So next, we begin a little later, so we can use another few minutes if you guys want to stay with.
Hey, Alinda and Dave. I come across a great teacher as well. Her name is Neema Majmudar. She's an Indian lady. She's in the school of Dayananda. She's got a brilliant mind, and I love listening to her. I think she's great. So that's another one you can look out to. I'll repeat her name. Her name's Neema Majmudar.
Yeah.
You write that in the chat, Mark?
Yeah, right in the chat, because I don't think I know her.
Okay.
Is she from London? Is she teaching in London?
No, she's Indian. She teaches around the world. She's an international teacher now.
Okay.
She's Indian lady, but her focus is not on necessarily culture. Her focus is definitely on Vedanta and moksha. This is she's okay. I'll write her name down so everyone.
Yeah, please.
Right. Okay.
And she teaches in English, and her English is good.
She teaches in English. English is good, but she does use a bit of Sanskrit. So she teaches like all Vedanta teachers. You know, she goes through scripture, but she makes sure all her students have an absolute clarity of what she's talking about before she moves on to the next verse. So
Right.
her teachings are very good in this respect.
Right. Nice.
Okay.
It is very important. One of the things I say to my friends in Brazil, I'm right, is that
You got that, everyone. I can turn that off now. Okay.
Neema Majmudar. Maybe I know her. Anyhow, one of the very important features of a teacher is availability as well. The teacher should know the teachings, should be self-realized, and should be available in the sense that there are a lot of excellent teachers, but if you cannot contact the teacher to solve your doubts, you know, and then it's a little different. So I often present this, you know, to have someone that can help you resolving doubts and clarify any possible misunderstanding, or you know, it is very valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's very nice to have sort of you as a primary teacher, Arlindo, and as secondary teachers that you can listen to and get clarity from as well. We're very, very lucky to live in the age of the internet where we can get multiple sources of
Yeah.
Vedanta.
Totally. And as I said, this coming weekend, I begin a seminar in Brazil that is going to go until the next weekend. But I will be free during the weekdays, in the morning and the afternoon, because in the weekdays there will be classes only in the evening. So it's not going to interrupt our class. So we'll meet again this coming Monday to give continuity to our Vivekachudamani. Okay. Okay. So people are saying goodbye. I say goodbye as well. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, guys. Sahi, I send these invitations, and I also send by email the video recordings. So you want me to put your email on the list of Ajay Sangha? You want to have you there? You want to receive our emails? Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Arlindo.
See you. Much love. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Arlindo. Bye
you.
now.